With God, you can do anything. In the rolling hills of Bethlehem, a young shepherd named David tended his father's sheep. He was a good shepherd, brave and strong. David knew God watched over him. He loved to sing praises to God. David trusted God with all his heart. One day, David's father called him. His brothers were fighting in a war. His father wanted news. He asked David to go to the battlefield. David obeyed his father. He went to see his brothers. The Israelites, David's people, were at war with the Philistines. The two armies stood on opposite sides of a valley. A giant named Goliath stood with the Philistines. Goliath was huge and fierce. He wore heavy armor and carried a massive spear. Every day Goliath shouted across the valley. He challenged the Israelites to fight. "Send me a man to fight me," he roared. "If he kills me, the Philistines will be your slaves, but if I win, you will be our slaves." The Israelites were terrified. No one dared to face the giant. David arrived at the battlefield. He saw the fear in his brothers' eyes. He heard Goliath's challenge. David was angry. How dare this giant defy the living God? David knew God was stronger than any giant. David's brother Eliab saw him. "What are you doing here?" he asked. "Go back to tending sheep." But David wouldn't leave. He wanted to defend God's honor. He wanted to fight Goliath. Word reached King Saul that David wanted to fight Goliath. Saul summoned David. Saul was a tall, strong man, but even he was afraid of Goliath. "You're just a boy," Saul said to David. "You cannot fight this Philistine." "Your Majesty," David replied, "I have killed lions and bears while protecting my sheep. God saved me then, and God will save me from this giant." David's faith impressed Saul. He finally agreed to let David fight. Saul offered David his armor. He wanted David to be protected. David tried on the armor, but it was too heavy and cumbersome. He wasn't used to it. David took off the armor. He decided to fight Goliath his own way. David went to a nearby stream. He picked up 5 smooth stones. He put them in his shepherd's bag. David had used his sling many times before. He was very accurate. He trusted God to guide his aim. David approached Goliath. The giant laughed when he saw the young shepherd. "Am I a dog," he roared, "that you come at me with sticks?" David stood firm. "You come against me with sword and spear," he said, "but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty." David ran towards Goliath. He reached into his bag. He took out a stone and put it in his sling. He swung the sling with all his might. The stone flew through the air and struck Goliath in the forehead. The giant fell to the ground with a crash. Join Holy Frequency to stay updated on new contents. Also give us a like. Yabby with your ways.